Hi everyone, I'm Julia Idaiwar from Intune. I'm here with Yusuke and Mike, and we're here to talk through endpoint security and its latest developments. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us today. Super excited to learn more with you guys and just announce the features that we've been working on really hard this past several months. So hopefully you learned something new, and yeah, just stay tuned for more conversation. So today we're going to discuss the top 5 tips and features that you should know of when configuring endpoint security. Tip number 5 is securing your device with Microsoft recommendations, which we do in security baselines. So if you're not familiar, security baselines are a group of curated settings with the latest recommendations from Microsoft experts. They're considered the most relevant security-related configuration options by our Microsoft security team in close collaboration with the security community. Unlike anywhere else on the console, the difference between baselines is that you can start with default settings. So this is perfect for organizations where you're not quite sure how to set a setting to fit with your specific security environment and its needs. Within baselines, you can also customize them. So you're able to deploy to enforce only those settings and values that your org requires. And each new build of Windows, the team adjusts its recs based on newly released features. So we have different versions that you'll see with each baseline. And yeah, so essentially with security baselines, the recommendations comes down to each company and industry. So be sure to work with your security to evaluate what works for you, especially if you're working with GPO. And so now I'm going to go through a demo of exactly how you could deploy security baselines within the Intune console. Here we are on the Intune screen. We're going to click Endpoint Security and navigate there. Once we're at this tab, we'll click Security Baselines on the left. And here we're going to be working with the security baseline for Microsoft Edge. So I'm just going to click into that right now. So right now we have a new upgrade experience available. We are making security baselines available with the new unified settings platform. So you'll see a little bit of change within security baselines. And here, when we have a new version, you'll see that there will be an up arrow, and it'll state at least one profile is being deprecated, and that we recommend that you'll update all policies. So once you see that arrow on your profile, you'll click that checkbox next to the arrow, and then you'll click change version. Here you'll see a guide for a manual upgrade. This manual upgrade process will only happen one time for each profile. As we switch to the unified settings platform, this is how you can get to it. So in order to migrate the profile, you'll have to create a new profile, but we've enabled you guys to see any customized settings and device assignments. So what you'll do is you'll use the export profile settings button that is highlighted right here. You'll download a CSV file, which contains the list of all the settings, as you can see here. It'll have the customized values and the default values. So you can see in row B, the default values, and then row C, you'll see whether or not it was customized, and if it was, which value that is. You can use this file as needed to help guide you as you create that new profile. So here we're going to click into create. And that'll lead us to creating a new profile. We'll name it, and then we'll put the description, which is, again, the updated profile. Here we have Edge V17, and we will click next. And the profile was created. So as you can see, that's the new upgrade experience that we have with baselines. Again, this is a one-time manual upgrade experience as we're switching all profiles over to the new unified settings platform. So yeah, it's really exciting. We have a lot more coming your way as far as baselines. We're going to a more frequent upgrade process with also a lot of improvements as far as UI and also reporting. So be on the lookout for more baseline versions to come out. And here I'm going to pass it off to Mike.
Thanks, Julia. That was an awesome tip about baselines. Can't wait to go and use that, and I know a lot of people are excited about that new experience. I'm Mike Donosky, and for this next tip, tip number 4, we're going to talk about something you probably heard about at Ignite. This shouldn't be your first time hearing about endpoint privilege management, which is included in the Intune suite. But a lot of questions we get is, hey, where do I get started? And when you start creating those rules, it can get, a little bit hairy on, where do I get this file hash? So endpoint privilege management is an awesome way to elevate your users just in time so that they can use the apps that they need with the permissions they need without giving them full local admin access on the device that they're using. I have a tip for you on how to create those rules. Once you've downloaded the file or the installer that you want to add to one of your rules, you can simply go and open up PowerShell and run this command for get file hash, and it will output the file hash that you can add directly to your rule. If you want a little bit more information, you can load the PowerShell module that's included with Endpoint Privilege Management by running the command there on screen when you are in PowerShell. And if you run that and some of the associated commands that you can find in the documentation, not only will you get the hash, but you'll get a little bit more file information about that so that you can more accurately create your rule. One last tip on this tip is you can also get all of this information from the EPM reports inside of Endpoint Security. If you already have this set up in more of an auditing mode and you want to see those elevations as they come through, and then craft rules based on the types of applications and installers and other things that you see that your users are trying to elevate in their current environment and on their devices. So that's it for tip number 4. I told you it was going to be a short one. Now I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Yusuke for tip number 3.
Thank you, Mike. And my name is Yusuke Shinoki. I'm a product manager of Intune. As a tip number 3, I am going to introduce settings catalog import and export. This settings catalog import and export is you can use it today, which allows you to export the existing settings catalog configuration profile out to the JSON file, and you can import the JSON file as a different settings catalog. So let me go and show the demo. I pre-created this settings catalog profile, and now I am going to export. So now you see this export JSON option here, and you can hit the download, and then you can save the JSON file. So now you can confirm that in the download folder, you can download the JSON file. So to import, just hit create and import policy and choose the download JSON file. And then you can rename the policy with like a Ignite import and hit save. And you can now export import the configuration profile based on the settings catalog. It is convenient when it comes to you need to have multiple IT administrators in your organization and you want to copy and duplicate the template configurations, or if you have multiple tenants and you need to copy the profile, it should be very useful and handy. That's the tips number 3. Over to Julia.
Thanks, Yusuke, for that awesome summary on settings catalog, import, and export. Now I'm going to talk about how you can manage Defender antivirus updates through Intune. So to get into it, we're just going to look at the actual new template that we have available in Intune right now in Endpoint Security. This template gives you policy types that have pause, resume, and manual rollback commands similar to Windows Update Ring policies. These are available on Windows, and as you can see, you're able to configure a gradual release to targeted device groups using a ringed approach. So you can see there are 3 different channels here. There's Engine Updates channel, there's Platform Updates channel, and there's Security Intelligence Updates channel. And these all have the same types of settings that enable you to manage that gradual release frequency to your liking. So one of them is Beta channel pre-release. Another one is Current channel preview, Current channel staged, Current channel broad, and critical time delay. We also essentially, I don't want to go through and read all these because there's a lot of description to all of these, but essentially, whenever you're able to decide for your environment how frequently you want them to receive updates, you can go in and manage these different channels using these 5 different frequency updates. So this is a new template available in Intune. When you navigate to Endpoint Security and you select Windows 10, Windows 11, and Windows Server, you'll see Defender update controls, and you're able to create that profile there and assign it to targeted device groups. And now I'll pass it off to Mike, who will talk about how to manage Defender on every device with Defender for Endpoint Security Settings Management.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia. I love that tip on those AV update rings. Speaking of managing Defender and managing your endpoint security settings, we're going to go and talk about a question that I get sometimes. So this is our tip number 1. Manage Defender on every device. Manage devices with one policy for all your devices that are using Defender for Endpoint security settings management. So what does this look like? You've probably seen this graphic before, but what does it mean? We're going to dive into this a little bit, and I'm going to show you how to identify which policies are going to go where. So on the bottom left there, you can see our traditional management for devices that are enrolled through mobile device management, whether they're cloud only, co-management, or co-managed or cross-plat. We also support deploying policy down to devices that are managed via co-management. But on the right there in that red box is what we want to highlight today, which is Defender for Endpoint Security Settings Management. What this means is that when you deploy policy from endpoint security, not only will it apply to devices that are traditionally MDM enrolled, but also devices that are running Defender for Endpoint. When you look into creating a policy, you'll notice that in this platform selection, it says Windows 10, Windows 11, and Windows Server. We have another option for Configuration Manager, but today we're focusing just on the one that says Windows 10, Windows 11, and Windows Server. Once you create a profile like this, you'll notice down here the platform as well as the target. If you see that target on your policy, you can be assured that this is going to apply policy to not only MDM joined devices, but also devices that are managed with Defender for Endpoint. For a breakdown of all the different supported profile types, we have this listed out in our docs. And so these are all the different types of policies that are supported for Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. The cool thing about this, and what I find really neat, is that if you have a device that is managed by Defender for Endpoint Security Settings Management, and that device later becomes enrolled, then the same policy will continue to be applied, but the source for that policy will change to the new channel so that you have seamless management of these security settings. You don't have to worry about switching these over yourself. This is one of my favorite things about endpoint security. I just love how we make it easy so that you don't have to worry about how a device is being managed. You just state what you want your security posture to be, and we take care of the rest. Now, I know this went quick, and this is the number one tip. Don't worry. We have some bonus tips for you. So first bonus tip, I'm going to hand it back to Yusuke to talk about deploying Windows Labs.
Thank you, Mike, for introducing the security configurations across the different management platform. So next bonus tip is Windows Labs. So Labs is a stand for Local Administrator Password Solution, and which released in the last May 2023. And this is the most growing service across Intune right now. And let me introduce Windows Labs. When it comes to enabling Windows Labs in your tenant, firstly, you go to Microsoft Entra ID Management Console and go to the device and go to device setting and turn on the Labs enable settings here and hit save to enable it. So then that's it for Microsoft Entra ID's configuration side. So let's go to Intune to configure Windows Labs settings. So when you open the Intune Admin Center, go to Endpoint Security Blade, go to Account Protection, and then hit Create Policy. And now you can create the Windows Labs template. And hit Create, and you can name it. And this policy, you can configure the granular control of the Windows Labs. For example, I am setting up where to back up the local administrator password key, and you can configure password age days and complexity and also the length of the password. So you can configure and then hit next, and you can assign as well as the regular Intune profiles. Once you created the profile and assign it, so now you have to do is confirm your local administrator password on Intune. Go to Windows and choose your device which you want to confirm your local admin's password. Go to local administrator password blade, and now the stored password is shown here, and you can copy it to the clipboard, and also you can see the password. So this password is randomized, so it is unique across the different devices. So go to the client side, and you can use this copied password. So let's say technician type in the password which is told by Intune administrator, and then you type in this password and hit the next to sign in, and you'll be able to sign in. because it's rotated and it's generated by Windows Labs policy. Once you completed using the local administrator password, then we recommend you to rotate the password because the keep using the same local administrator password is not secure. So when it comes to rotating the local administrator password, go to Intune device blade and you can choose the rotate local admin password remote action. So you hit yes to rotate the local administrator password rotation. Once rotation is completed, the previous password is not valid anymore. So let's confirm. So this is the exact same password previously used, and this machine rotation is completed. So now you cannot sign in with the same previous local administrator password. So because it's rotated, and you have to get a different rotated password from Intune again. That's the tips of the Windows Labs. So next tip is deploy device control removable storage. So over to Julia.
Thanks, Yusuke, for that amazing tip. So exciting to hear about one of the fastest adopting features in Intune today. For our second and last bonus tip, I'll be talking about deploying device control removable storage within Intune. And be doing a short demo to show you guys how to do this. So today in Intune, we have new device control capabilities that allow greater flexibility for enhanced endpoint security. You now have the ability to manage access and use of removable storage devices such as USB and solid state drives on Intune managed devices. There are many ways of configuring this feature, such as group policy, custom OMA URI, but specifically today we're focusing on using the new reusable settings feature in the attack surface reduction node in Intune. We're going to navigate to the reusable settings tab and click add to create a new reusable settings group. Here, we're going to name our group and put a description. Here, we're configuring all removable storage groups that we want to reference. And so here, we can create an attack surface reduction setting group. That's a reusable list of one or more endpoints for different media types. Currently, we have the ability to configure printer devices and removable storage. And so we're going to click removable storage for this scenario. And here we can add any identifiers that we want in order to apply the reusable setting for the right groups. So we're going to put name and then primary ID, which will enable us to define all the removable storages that we want to reference. In this demo specifically, we're focusing on blocking write access to all removable storage for all users, with exceptions for specific removable storage. So in this group specifically, we're just configuring a reusable setting group that will reference all removable storage. So in the next page, we're going to click match any, and then we're going to save. Here you can see that I've created a group that references all removable storage, and I also created offline a group that references one specific removable storage, and that's the one that we want to give access to. The other ones we want to block all access to do anything like write, read, or print. So now that we've created our reusable setting groups, we're going to navigate to actually creating a device control policy to manage these groups and provide access. So here, as you can see, we are selecting Windows 10 and later as a platform, and we are selecting device control as a profile, and we're going to click create. We're naming our device control policy, and this one is named block all mass storage by default. So we're going to click next. So like I said, we are here after we created the reusable setting group, and it's been saved and successfully created. And now we're creating a new device control policy that includes the option to configure access control to that reusable group. So to begin, we're going to click configured for device under the device control tab, and you'll see name, included ID, excluded ID, and entry. So right now we're going to click into included ID, and we are selecting all removable storage because that's what's going to be included in this access control. And for excluded ID, we are selecting the EMTEC USB drive. Now we've clicked into edit entry, and we're going to define each access control instance. So we're going to name the setting instance, which is block write access. And then we're going to choose the level of access and scope. And we're going to scope the settings to a specific user or device group. So again, we're clicking allow. And then for access mask, we are clicking read and execute because we want to give that access to all removable storage. But for specifically write access, we want to deny that to only one reusable group. So we've configured deny and allow, and we've configured the access control for both of them. And so now that we've done this, when we go on our actual devices, we'll see that all of the reusable storage groups only have access to read and execute, but the one device that has access to write is only the EMTEC group that we created. We can also add a lot more rules for access. We can add up to 100, which allows for greater flexibility and granular control. In this instance, we only added 2, but again, just wanted to show you a quick demo on how you can block write access to all removable storage for all users, with exceptions for specific removable storage. So this is a great feature that, again, allows you to get a lot more granular control when configuring, allowing, block, or auditing permissions. So this is a new feature that is available on Intune. We're going to be adding a lot more to expand on this feature, but wanted to thank you guys again for coming out today to hear the top 5 tips and features when configuring endpoint security. Mike and Yusuke and I just are really excited to add a lot more features to what we've talked about today, but we're excited to start the discussion, and we'd love to hear your feedback in the comments on what is your favorite feature, what would you like to see, and anything else that you would just like us to know. So thank you guys so much for coming out today, and I hope the session was useful for you, and we'll keep in touch soon.